Over the next half-century, the world population will increase by 2 to 3 billion, and almost all growth will be in developing countries, with the expansion taking place around the edge of existing cities. We are witnessing a swiftly growing and dynamic region of interactions between the rural and the urban. An area defined not by a space, but by a string of processes characterized by changing livelihoods driven by urbanization. Through extreme change, a new space is emerging that represents opportunities for new livelihoods and the death of old ones. In the presence of new urban opportunities, communities are abandoning traditional natural resource management practices, resulting in the neglect of natural resources. This new space, where the city meets the village, is called the Peri-Urban interface or semi-urban area and is a global phenomenon. This is a zone of interaction which extends unevenly from cities with growth of infrastructure like highways, railways, electrification, markets, and communications. It is a changing frontier. Today's rural is tomorrow's semi-urban. Today's semi-urban is tomorrow's urban. Urban and rural authorities alike continue to act and frame policy within their own contained geographical boundaries, isolated from each other. Thus, the semi-urban area is crying out for the attention of policy makers and provides them a unique opportunity to rethink the old boundaries of jurisdiction and age-old styles of administration. Environmental degradation is not confined to urban areas only, but spreads outwards in the form of sewage streams, generation of municipal solid waste, pollution from traffic, waste from industries and mining or extraction of resources for the city like brick kilns, quarries, timber, fuel wood and water. None of these processes respect administrative boundaries. The poorest have least room to adapt to change as they are too busy just trying to survive. People commute into cities for work on a daily, weekly, or on a permanent basis, leaving homes, families, and land. The UK Department for International Development set up the Natural Resources Systems Programme to commission research into understanding the semi-urban interface and how best to manage it in areas of poverty alleviation and natural resource management. They chose Hubli-Dharwad in Karnataka, India as its location in South Asia. Work commenced in 2001 with a project to develop action plans for management of natural resources by local people in 6 semi-urban villages. The next phase, 2001 to 2005, involved implementation of those action plans in conjunction with India Development Service, BIF, University of Agricultural Sciences, Best Practices Foundation, the University of Wales, Bangor, and Development Planning Unit, University College London. The poor and very poor in the semi-urban area have been characterized as those who are often unable to educate their children and are forced to send them to work. Families who have a higher number of people who are sick or dependent, and families with urban-induced bad habits such as alcoholism, debt, and gambling. Other characteristics included a weakening of family and social ties, indicated by many leaving their families without notice for long periods of time as they engage in circular migration, where they commute to the cities on a daily or weekly basis for labor. Migration is a major coping strategy of the rural poor. While the vulnerability of the semi-urban population is high and their livelihoods are varied, their coping strategies are equally diverse. Changing market opportunities such as increased urban demand for flowers, fruit, crops, dairy, and other natural resources also result in rapid changes in livelihoods. Being near urban markets results in more dairy production in the nearer villages, as milk can be sold directly, avoiding the middlemen, and transportation is also easier. The concentration of economic activities in the semi-urban areas such as construction, mining, brickmaking, and vegetable production through sewage irrigation leads to the degradation of natural resources. Land use changes in the semi-urban area are due to push factors such as expansion of housing and infrastructure, leading to escalating land prices. Wherever potential urban development like a bypass or an industrial estate or large government establishments takes place, land speculation is higher. Educational and other urban institutions relocate to the semi-urban area because of the need for large amount of land unavailable in the cities. Agriculture is being abandoned due to labor unavailability and higher labor costs. As bore wells are expensive and water tables lowering, sewage irrigation becomes a more reliable alternative. Urban areas generate large volumes of sewage which farmers use for irrigation, especially for fruit and vegetable production. How does one manage all these changes? Communities identified some ideas, namely ways to attract people back to the land and integrated planning. But this had to be tested out. The semi-urban area is uncharted terrain where even the first step of mobilizing communities is hard and rural-urban government links do not exist. Despite some initial difficulties, people were mobilized into self-help groups, village forest committees, and other user groups. Earlier, community work was common, but in the semi-urban area, due to urban distractions, this practice died out. Self-help groups revived this practice. In the Hasiru Habba or Green Festival celebrated in Channapur, saplings are planted on common ground. In Mandihal village, all the farmers came together to repair and strengthen tank bunds or walls. In Kotur and Dadi Kamlapur, the farmers together dug a canal to channel rainwater into their tanks. Together, they have improved the natural environment. It reverses degradation of lands, improves crop and livestock productivity, which discourages abandonment and sale of farms, and instead retains people in the villages, enhancing community life and reducing urban migration. Scarcity of land and lack of access to forests has resulted in shortage of fuel and fodder, a major concern for semi-urban dwellers as they have neglected their natural resources. One intervention is the formation of village forest committees towards people's ownership and protection of their forests. People have initiated new ways of cultivating. In Channapur village, orchards integrate agriculture